Hello and welcome to another episode of Monday Mod Tips. Today we're going to be covering switches. Specifically what I have here is an Omron switch. They're very popular because they're very robust. They're a little bit more on the expensive side though. They're also kind of large, but they work very well. And for this video they will serve because all of the switches that we use for like rev triggers and regular firing triggers all work on the same basic concept of there's a button that gets pressed and it changes the position of the circuits inside the switch. Whether you have the ones where the prongs are coming out of the bottom or the ones that come out of the sides like this, it doesn't really matter. Functionally, they're the same. Ones that are different are ones where when you press it, it switches the circuit over and it stays switched until you press it again. That is a whole different kind of switch. There are also toggle switches where when you switch it to one position, it stays there until you switch it back. That's also a different time. For this video, we're talking about any of the switches where when you press it and hold it to complete a different circuit, and when you let go, it recompletes the original circuit. This is true for the cherry switches, for these Omron switches, for all sorts of switches. There are lots of different models and makes and slightly different variants, but they all function the same. The nice thing about the Omron switches is they actually have the wiring diagram on the side of the switch, which is great until you end up gluing it in there into your blaster in such a way that you can't see it anymore and you forget how it works. So for that, we have wiring diagrams. This is the basic internals of the Omron switch. We're going to go over the various parts and the basic function of how it works. The idea is that if you understand how the switch actually functions on the inside, it'll help you better understand why things are wired the way they are and help you troubleshoot. The first part is, of course, the switch on the top, the lever that toggles the internal mechanism. There are then 3 leads coming out of the switch. The one coming out of the bottom of this particular one is the common lead, or COM as it's labeled on the switch. And it is the one that is shared between the other 2 depending on the position of the switch. The one on the top of this is the normally closed, which means this circuit is complete when the switch is not pressed. When you press the switch, it disconnects this circuit and connects it to the normally open, the NO lead. This is how you can disconnect a circuit. There are several different ways that this can then be used to connect or disconnect a circuit. It also allows you to have multiple circuits. If you have the battery connected to the COM, you will then have a complete circuit with the power flowing out of normally closed when the switch is not pressed, or a circuit that is completed to normally open when it is pressed, which hypothetically means you could have 2 different things connected. You could have an LED that is always on when the gun isn't firing but gets turned off when you switch it over. You could have any number of things connected. There's lots of different applications for a switch like this, but if the power is connected to COM, then there is always going to be a complete circuit. One of the 2 will always have power running out of it. Whether it goes to anything is a different matter. Alternatively, you can hook the battery power up to one of these 2 and then connect a circuit to COM. And there's reasons where you might do this. So you could have the power going into normally open so that when you flip the switch, power flows out through COM to whatever you want, but there is never power coming out of normally closed. And that's simply a matter of how you would want this to get wired up. So that's pretty much it. That's how the switch works. It's fairly simple once you understand what gets connected and disconnected when the switch is in which position and where power is going to flow depending on where you have the power connected up. I will go into the actual wiring of these in separate videos because it's different for pretty much every blaster. The Rapid Strike has 3 of these inside it and they're all wired differently. There are also 2 very different ways that you can wire a Strife or any of its variants, depending on whether you want electronic braking or not. And we will go into all of that in other videos, but this is the basic functions of a switch. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, corrections, I do get things wrong. I am not an electrical engineer. Go ahead and put them in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.